These people are absolutely crazy.
Let's be honest, Scott. A lot of this is driven by the rhetoric on your side of the aisle.
I mean, it's not. You think it's driven by the rhetoric and not the performance? The way you appeal to more people is by not crapping on half or more than half of the country because of their values and political viewpoints.
A few moments later.
The executive producer of CBS News' 60 Minutes calling it quits today, resigning from the long-running Sunday news program, saying that he has lost his journalistic independence. His departure comes in the middle of President Donald Trump's $20 billion lawsuit against CBS and 60 Minutes.
Time is our most precious commodity, and I've had so many of you ask me, how can I spend it wisely to better myself and my country? The truth is, most of us never learned the foundational truths like history, economics, or the real meaning of the Constitution in school. And even if we did, it's probably time to get a refresher. That's why I'm excited to tell you guys about Hillsdale College. They offer more than 40 free online courses, and that's right, completely free courses. You can learn about the Roman Republic, the book of Genesis, the works of C.S. Lewis, and also, which is the one that I enjoy the most, the Constitution of the United States of America. It talks you through the design of our Constitution, the challenges that it faced during the Civil War, and how progressive ideology has chipped away at it for over a century. I'll be honest with y'all. Before taking this course, I didn't fully grasp how much the government overreach today flies directly in the face of what our founding fathers intended. The course opened my eyes, and it's something every American should know. So all you got to do is go right now to hillsdale.edu/Tatum to enroll in Understanding Capitalism, or my favorite, Constitutional or Constitution 101. They're absolutely free. And again, it's very easy to start. All you have to do is go to hillsdale.edu/Tatum. Like, subscribe to the channel. Y'all already know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, somebody explain to me why the media is now lying and trying to act as if Donald Trump is the problem with people's distrust for the media. That's the biggest lie and sack of crap that I've ever heard in my life. Because the reason why people don't trust the media is because they've been lying. When you see old Joe running around, he don't know where he at, and then they try to say that he's totally perfect. He's been in the best shape of his life. It's a lie. We know it. They lied. And then they don't hold anybody in the Democrat administration accountable. And so therefore we see it in plain sight. And then you have people like me and others, Joe Rogan and other people who are kind of alternative media, who's willing to be honest and tell you exactly what's going on. But let me show you, because Scott Jennings has to whoop these people like a spoiled kid every single time he come on television. And I don't know why they picked him to be on there. I don't know what they think. Somebody's finna get fired. Scott Jennings literally ripped him every single time I see him on the television. So let's watch Scott Jennings literally rip apart the argument that Donald Trump is the reason for people's distrust in the media. Wrote a clip.
The problem is that the right wing, hello, Scott, has taken advantage of this situation, I think, quite cleverly, quite wisely. They've played into a weakness.
What situation?
The situation of media being under attack. And so they've created a situation where...
You've almost got it. Keep going. What the right wing is taking advantage of is finally the American people saying enough is enough. They're tired of feeling like the mass media screens out one viewpoint versus another in political coverage. They're tired of media institutions favoring one party over another. They're tired of narratives over factual stories. If I had any advice for 60 Minutes or anybody else, it would be just cover the news and try to be fair about it and stop putting your finger on the scale, especially during campaigns.
You're talking about the old mass media myth that you could have this thing that was in the middle. The Walter Cronkite saying, that's the way it is, when it wasn't for many Americans the way it was. When people were pissed off.
But people back in those days trusted the media, did they not?
No, they just couldn't be heard. Because there was no two way. Now we have the internet.
Look at the Gallup polling. It was here, and now it's here. It's fallen off of a cliff.
Yeah, we do have that Gallup polling about trust in media. And now, as in recent years, and let's be honest, Scott, a lot of this is driven by the rhetoric on your side of the aisle. I mean, it's not.
You think it's driven by the rhetoric and not the performance?
Absolutely.
But my point is this: if you're CBS or any other news outlet, the reason that you have lost trust ought to be obvious to you, and the way to fix it also ought to be obvious to you, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump and everything to do with the product. Just try to make a better product that appeals to more people. And the way you appeal to more people is by not crapping on half or more than half of the country because of their values and political viewpoints.
I think that is
what you'd end up with in that press room then is, and these are my words, the freak show that Trump wants. Trump tries to devalue media. Why should we value his freak show there? Leave it to the freaks.
I think calling them freaks.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that, by the way.
I mean, he called these new media sources the freak show. They're not freaks. They have audiences.
Some of them are.
They have audiences, and there's a reason that they're thriving is because people are starved for information that they think they can trust. They're not freaks. They're filling a need in this country, in my opinion.
Right.
So you saw Scott Jennings. He literally had to whoop them into place. And it's funny because when he's on there, he sounds like he's the only person that has common sense. You cannot try to say, no, it's Donald Trump because he keeps saying that the media is bad. He keeps saying that no, it's because these people are actually bad. They're not fair to the Trump administration whatsoever. Caroline Leavitt have to go over this time and time again. We saw it with the story that just went viral on my channel not too long ago with the illegal alien that's an MS-13 gang member, that they literally go on TV and say, I don't know, father of 3 or father wrongly accused. Why don't they say his name? Well, they don't want to say his name because they know people look his name up. And then you'll find out that the guy had gotten in trouble with MS-13 gang members. 2 judges ruled that he was an MS-13 gang member. The president said it. ICE has said it. The president of El Salvador have said it. I mean, how many people got to say that this guy's an MS-13 gang member? Then he got tattoos on his hand. And when his girlfriend or his wife posts pictures, she put emojis over his hands. Why does she put emojis over his hand? Because he's a criminal. And they literally will go on the news and say, in lockstep, across the board, wrongly accused, man wrongly accused, man wrongly accused. We've seen it so many times. Here's another situation. And you guys may know this gentleman, Rainn Wilson. He's from The Office, which he has a really funny character. I didn't recognize him initially because he grew out his gray beard. But listen to what he had to say, because the young lady from CNN, is it CNN? MSNBC, MSDNC is what I call it. She tried to flip the script with him on who's responsible for the decline in people's, perception of the mainstream media. And then I guess she thought he was going to be on her side, but he wasn't. Roll the clip.
40% of Americans don't trust mainstream media. Why is that? How did we get here?
Listen, we are seeing a huge loss in trust of all of our institutions. It's the media, it's medicine, it's banking. It's a huge problem because when you think about democracy and all of these pillars, they need to stand tall. They need to stand strong. And sort of losing that trust is not by accident. It's by design. If you remember when President Trump was running the first time, Steve Bannon once said, the goal is to blow the whole thing up. And so I think that you've got mistakes made or things starting to slip while at the same time there's a concerted effort to destroy the media. Because the media, the news media is, in my opinion, the last line of defense of holding power accountable, right? And you had a bit of a perfect storm, right? President Trump won and tons of people were shocked or angry or frustrated and they're tuning out. And at the same time, you have the Elon Musk media machine because they want you to leave traditional media and they want you to go to X, which is a bastion of misinformation where there is no fact checking. So it's a perfect storm of people saying, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm tuning out, I'm disconnecting. And then you have a force pushing it. But even in the last 2 weeks, what we need to do is just cover what's happening in America, right? We have to cover Democrats trying to figure out what their lane is and how they're going to get back on their feet. And we have to simply cover what this White House is doing. And I think if we do that, right, there's that saying, trust is gained in raindrops and it's lost in buckets. And it's not yes, you're not incorrect that the media has lost trust.
This is where I would push back. When I see this kind of insight and passion being directed at the current administration and the lack of this kind of insight and passion being directed at the previous administration, where, again, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about left-leaning news media organizations were kind of like, la, 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 everything's fine. Look, the economy's great, la, 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 immigration's not that much of a problem. And really being Cleopatra, queen of denial. Thank you. Boom.
It's like, I don't know why people would get on an interview and try to argue these points. Stevie Wonder can see. that they literally act like the economy was fine. It was all a lie when people were saying they were struggling, when the economy is going off the cliff. They act like you were lying. And then we say the border is out of control. It's the most border crossings that we've ever seen. Fentanyl is flooding in the country. Illegal aliens are flooding in the country. All of these things are happening. And they go, no, it's nothing happening. The border's not an issue. Kamala Harris didn't even go to the border. I don't think maybe one time. And she went to the safest part of the border that you can go. They just refuse to acknowledge. And it's not the politicians. We understand that politicians are going to be politicians. They're going to lie. They will deceive. They'll do anything they can to make their party look good so you can vote for them. The mainstream media should be impartial. They should just sit back and say, okay, Joe Biden has failed 3 times, and he literally walking around the White House lawn, don't know where he's at, don't know up from down. He's literally has showing early signs of dementia potentially, and they won't even cover it. He's totally fine. Everything is good. No, it wasn't. Afghanistan was a complete failure. If Donald Trump would have pulled troops out of Afghanistan the way Biden did, it'll be a catastrophe. Donald Trump is implementing tariffs, and of course, it's making the economy uncertain, or at least the stock market. They don't mind getting on TV and saying all hell is breaking loose and we're going to run into a recession and the country is over and the economy is never going to recover from this. They will put expert after expert on TV to say that, but they didn't say nothing about the last administration. But let me finish it with some good news. The good news is people are waking up. That's why Donald Trump won in a landslide, because people can see what's going on. Even the lies of him being a rapist and all this other stuff they've said about Donald Trump. They tried to literally, make his bank go to zero, suing him. Now look at Letitia James. Look what she involved in. It's the same thing, but they're never going to cover what Letitia James is doing, what Fani Willis is doing. These people were against Donald Trump, and I felt like that. I'm glad that they did it to a certain degree because it shows their true colors. But where's the media at? When are they going to blast these people for fake hate crimes that they putting out there? When are they going to actually say something about this? They never will. That's why I exist. Anyway, I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.